Has the Pakistan Army been a silent puppeteer in the nation's political theatre? A question that resounds through the corridors of power and the streets alike. Let's travel back in time to the birth of Pakistan in 1947, a newborn nation navigating the choppy waters of newfound sovereignty, and at its helm, a civilian government. Yet the army, an institution in its infancy, was already beginning to cast a long shadow over the political landscape. The early years were a dance of democracy and dictatorship, a power tug-of-war between the military and the civilian government. But the scales tipped in 1958 when the first military coup was executed by General Ayub Khan. An unprecedented event, it was the juncture where the army firmly entrenched itself in the political domain. This coup, a seismic shift in Pakistan's power dynamics, set an unsettling precedent. It was a foreboding sign of the military's increasing involvement in the nation's governance. It served as a testament to the army's growing influence, sparking a series of military takeovers that would intermittently punctuate Pakistan's political history. As we delve deeper into this intriguing narrative, we see the army's role evolving, growing and adapting to the changing political landscape, always maintaining its position of power. From the shadows, it has been a silent player, a puppeteer pulling the strings, subtly steering the course of the nation's political journey. Such influence is not wielded without consequence, not held without responsibility. The army's role in politics, whether direct or indirect, has had a profound impact on the nation. Its decisions, its actions, have shaped the political, social and economic fabric of Pakistan. This is not just a story of power and politics. It's a narrative that speaks volumes about the complex interplay between military might and political authority, about the delicate balance of power that determines a nation's fate. As we revisit the past, we uncover the roots of the army's influence in politics. These roots, deep and far-reaching, continue to shape the present and the future of Pakistan's political landscape. Military dominance in politics became a norm rather than an exception. The ripples of this shift in power were felt across the nation, forever altering the political landscape of Pakistan. In the mid-20th century, the country found itself under the shadow of the military rule. This era was marked by a series of significant events that shaped the nation's future. One such event was the separation of East Pakistan, a heart-wrenching chapter in the annals of the country's history. The division led to a profound reshuffling of the political deck. The military rule was not just about territorial loss. It was an era that saw the systematic erosion of democratic values, with the military firmly entrenching itself in the political arena. The grip of the military was so strong that it dictated the ebb and flow of politics in the country. Yet, amidst this storm, the spirit of democracy flickered, refusing to be extinguished. The year 1971 marked a significant turning point. It was a year of change, a year of hope. The return to civilian rule was hailed as a victory for democracy. However, the transition was not smooth. The country was on a tightrope, balancing between military control and civilian rule. The military, while officially removed from power, still held considerable sway in the political landscape. It was a shadowy presence, its influence felt but not seen. Despite the return of civilian rule, the military's influence did not wane. Instead, it adapted to the changing times, learning to wield power from behind the scenes. It was no longer the overt ruler. It had become the puppet master, pulling the strings of power in subtle ways. And so, the military's grip on power was loosened, but not lost. It was a new era, one where the military's dominance was not as apparent, but its presence was still keenly felt. This era of military dominance had far-reaching implications, shaping the country's political landscape in ways that continue to resonate today. The Pakistan Army's role in politics did not diminish. It merely became less visible. As we delve into the tumultuous decade of the 90s, we find a period marked by political instability. The army was no longer at the forefront of the political scene, but their influence remained potent, operating like an invisible hand guiding the nation's course. This era saw a series of short-lived civilian governments. The army, however, continued to exert its influence behind the scenes, subtly manipulating the levers of power. This was not the overt dominance of yesteryears, but a subtler form of control, a shadowy puppeteering of the political landscape. One of the most significant events of this period was the Kargil conflict of 1999. This undeclared war between Pakistan and India in the Kargil district of Kashmir was a critical turning point. The conflict, largely believed to have been orchestrated by the army without the knowledge of the then civilian government, was a clear demonstration of the military's continued stronghold over key national matters. The aftermath of the Kargil conflict was a coup d'etat, a military takeover that once again brought the army into direct control. The civilian government was ousted and the army took over, marking the beginning of another era of military rule. This period is a testament to the enduring influence of the Pakistan army in the nation's politics. Their role may have appeared less overt, but their power remained undiminished. They were the unseen force, the invisible hand that continued to shape the political landscape of Pakistan. In this game of power and control, the army was never too far from the center. Their influence, both visible and invisible, has been a constant in Pakistan's political journey. The army's role in politics during this era was a clear demonstration of their long-standing ability to shape and direct the narrative of the nation. Once again, the army was in the driver's seat. The new millennium brought new challenges and new dynamics. As the world grappled with the aftermath of the September 11th attacks, Pakistan found itself at the epicenter of the ensuing war on terror. The army stepped into the limelight, shouldering the responsibility of safeguarding the nation during these tumultuous times. It navigated the complex geopolitical landscape, balancing national security concerns with the need for international cooperation. Fast forward to 2008, the nation witnessed a significant shift, the restoration of civilian rule, marking the end of a decade-long military regime. This change brought with it a new set of challenges. Civilian governments grappled with issues of governance, economy, and internal security, while the army continued to exert considerable influence, particularly in matters of foreign policy and national security. The return to democracy, however, didn't signal the end of the army's involvement in politics. In fact, its role seemed to have evolved. The focus shifted from direct control to a more subtle form of influence. The army transitioned from being the ruler to the kingmaker, retaining its central role in the nation's power dynamics. In the current political landscape, the army's role is multifaceted. It is a guardian, a policy influencer, and sometimes a power broker. It stands as a pillar of stability in a volatile region, maintaining a delicate balance between power and responsibility. But the question remains, how does this dynamic influence the future of Pakistan's democracy? As we look ahead, the role of the army in the political arena continues to be a subject of intense debate. Its influence over the nation's politics is undeniable, yet the struggle for civilian supremacy persists. The chessboard of power continues to evolve, with the army as a key player. So, what does history tell us about the army's role in Pakistani politics? The chronicles of Pakistan's political landscape are punctuated by the army's footprints. From the era of military dominance to the invisible hand maneuvers, the army has been a recurring actor on the political stage. This cyclical pattern of military involvement has left a profound impact on the country's democratic process and its socio-political fabric. In the earliest days, we saw the Intrigue of Power, where the army stepped into the political arena, marking the beginning of an intricate dance of authority. This was a time when the military wore the cloak of a savior, stepping in during times of political unrest and instability. Then came the era of military dominance, a period characterized by direct military rule. The army was no longer behind the scenes. Instead, it was at the forefront, steering the country's political direction. This era was marked by a distinct shift in power dynamics and a clear deviation from democratic principles. Following this was the era of the invisible hand, an era marked by the army's subtle yet consistent influence on politics. The military might not have directly held the reins of power, but it was certainly pulling the strings behind the scenes, shaping the political narrative of the nation in ways that were not always visible to the naked eye. Fast forward to the new millennium and beyond, we see the army's influence persisting, albeit in a more nuanced manner. The role of the military in politics has evolved, but its presence remains undeniable. The current state of affairs presents a complex picture. The army's influence on politics continues, but its manifestation has become more sophisticated. The dance of power remains as intricate as ever, with the army maintaining a significant stake in the political discourse. The Pakistan Army's role in politics is a complex dance of power, one that continues to shape the future of the nation.